Okay, let's do this, guys. I wanted to jump on here and just give you guys an update, a recap. However, I did stumble upon some incredible information that I'm going to share with you here in just a moment. As you guys are jumping on, go ahead and comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to see your comments in the live chat here, guys. Go ahead and bring it on, bring it on. I did find actually one of you guys found the video that I'm going to play for you. We're going to get into this, guys. Let me know where you're tuning in from. How do you do, sir? Gabe from Arizona, blessings. Melinda and M. Newman from Louisiana. Gun Broker from Maryland, blessings. Fredericksburg, Virginia, XLM to the moon. Kansas City, Indiana. Come on in, guys. Blessings, greetings. Let's do this. Come on in. Let me know where you're coming in from. Oh, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. Archie and Debbie from Winterville, North Carolina. Johnny and Jody from Australia. Sarah from Iowa. Buster from Florida. Come on in, guys. Bring it on. Martin says hi. All right, come on in, guys. Let's comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Before we get into the video, I wanted to show you guys this here. Let's see. Kids Revival from Texas, blessings. Operation Shutdown from Pennsylvania. Soy Controversial from Houston. Hello from Sweden, Martin, blessings. Okay, Ridge Mac, blessings from Ohio. All right, very good. Check this out, guys. One thing I want to share with you. Let me just, before I get into what I'm going to share with you, let me just throw out a quick disclaimer. And it's not really the disclaimer in the traditional sense that you guys are used to. This is a disclaimer of just kind of like, I have really been amazed at the way that God has done this particular month. And let me tell you why. Today's August the 4th. Many people don't believe in corporate prophetic words. They just don't. I even know a prophet who has been critical of corporate prophetic words. Let me tell you something. I went on the prophet's live stream today and testified. I said, thank you for praying for me on Sunday. It was Saturday or Sunday. And I said, because I had breakthrough, I was really, my book got scrambled and I was like overwhelmed because it was like completely out of order and the communication got lost somewhere. And I was trying to fix it to get it to where I wanted it. And it was so overwhelming. And I was like even trying to have AI help me try to put it in the right sequential order and flow because it was just so out of order. And I got on his live and he was prophesying of a 72-hour miracle. 72-hour miracle. And after he prayed for me on the live, I just asked him for prayer. I said, hey, man, prophet, I said, listen, I really could use some prayer right now. I said, my back's against the wall in this. And I feel like I'm, the enemy's really trying to attack me because he doesn't want this book to get out. And this is volume 2 now. And he just prayed for me. And he said, you're going to finish it. He said, you're going to, you're going to prevail. And so there wasn't much prophetic to it. It was just more prayer. And I ended up getting off, and I kept working, and I kept working, and I kept working. I don't know, maybe an hour or so later, it just broke. And I just, like, in no time, I just went flip and just flipped it all into the right order, and it was done. And I was like, wow. And then I just began to work from there, and I submitted it to the publisher today. And I said, I am done. Send it to publishing. And so he's like, okay. So, I mean, it was like just that fast. And I was wondering if I was going to, like, even get this thing done before the deadline. So anyhow, I wanted to share with you that he was prophesying of a 72-hour miracle, and I stepped into that flow, and I got mine. And like, it was just a corporate word that he felt the Lord releasing over everyone that was jumping on the live. Like, everybody was going to get their intricate 72-hour miracle, and boom. And there was prophetic words. I want you to hear this. There was prophetic words that so many prophets, I saw them talking about the month of August. And I saw many, many prophets saying, August is a breakthrough month. You will have your breakthrough. And not only did I have my breakthrough on my book, but I believe I had clarity breakthrough on this prophetic journey with the crypto, because I really believe XRP is going to go to $5 before the crash. I'm just throwing this out there. Okay. Test it, take it for what it's worth. You do you, but watch what I'm about to share with you, because this is, if I can find what just happened here. Perfect. All right. Hey, there we go. So here's the video, guys. You might have heard it, but here it is.
Last night, I awoke from another dream where I was looking for today's price of XRP in the $2 to $3 range to see where it was at. As I looked, expecting those prices, I saw the price of $5.04. And then right after that, I began to scroll through some of the comments on my YouTube video where two people had said that they had dreams of price points of $4.90.
Look at that. Now, this was 5 months ago. And if you guys remember correctly, so let me just throw these people out there. Jess, Todrick, and then Steve Andreas. And they both had dreams of 490. And so, well, this guy said, I agree with you. XRP will skyrocket to 490. But, there's not normally confirmation like that oftentimes. And, which especially with just the random price points that God gives me. But remember, guys, so if you're not following along, when God gave me the dreams about the crash, I pulled the trigger to steward that word while failing to wait for the previous words that he had given me to be fulfilled. Steve says, should we buy back in now? Steve, it's really going to be up to you, because here's what I will tell you. I have said this 1,000 times. I will say it again. I'm not, dogging Steve or anybody else. I'm just saying, I want you to hear me this time if you haven't. On the dreams that God has given me, some of them are snapshots. Some of them are full movies, like it's a whole movie. The movies have been the most impactful. In fact, when God told me XRP was going to take off last year, it was an entire movie. I had this, man encounter me in my dream. I don't know if it was an angel, and he told me XRP was going to take off and that me and my family would have a good Christmas. And he prophesied about my book specifically. In fact, it was one of the things that even helped me. What he prophesied even last year helped me last year, and it helped me again this weekend. And it was just a powerful prophetic word that was like, it just continued to operate. And so the sequence of dreams that he's given me about the crash, folks, I just telling you right now, you can take that to the bank, but it's going to trend upward first is what I believe. However, this is based upon something different than what I'm used to getting. This is based upon that, the series of dreams that I had before. Guys, if you remember 10 days before I got my dream about the crash, I had a dream that there was going to be a bull run. 10 days. And I had forgotten about this because once the Lord showed me the crash, it was like I just became tunnel vision focused. And, many people are like, oh, you made a mistake. I still hold to the fact that I made no mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you don't trust God, and I've said this 1,000 times a long time ago, if you don't trust God and keep your heart pure, if you believe that you are making mistakes, doesn't mean you can't learn from, where you might have jumped the gun. However, he already had that in mind, and that's what you and I all need to understand. And this is why I believe he also came behind it and gave me the dream about the dip, because that will recover anything. And in addition to anything that would have been won by stewarding any upward trends before any downward trends. If we didn't have the dip, prophetic, it doesn't matter if it went to $7. If it came right back down to 62 cents, if you're not cashing out because you're a hodler, right? Then what's it to you? Nothing. You didn't gain squat. And so anyway, I want to share this because I think it's super important. But let me get into the content here because, guys, call me a different breed, right? But I trust God. And some people can claim all sorts of different things to it. But I trust God. And that's why I'm going to come out better in the end. It doesn't matter if there are hiccups along the way. The Bible says he works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Does that make sense? All right. So, all right, let me just make sure. Okay, cool. Covered all the comments. Let me show this to you real quick. Here we have, this is the 1 hour chart. Now, the first thing I want to share with you maybe is the 4 hour chart, because on the 4 hour, this is the cool part, because you could see, what looks to be like a bull flag. Okay. And then what you do is you begin to put your little trend lines in there. And I'll show you in just a moment. I'm not sure if this one would go here or if it would go here. Either way, let me show this to you. I don't know. Which one do you guys like the best? It is what it is regardless, but because the bottom one doesn't really matter right now. But watch this. This is what I was showing you earlier, is that on the day chart, you could barely see this as a little knob. But on the 4-hour chart, you can see that for several periods of 4 hours here, as I expand this, you can see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 4-hour sequences. It's been breaking through that trend line. And, you know, the longer it stays there, obviously, the more bullish it is. However, if you break it down to the smaller time period, I think it was the 1 hour. Take your time. I have so many browsers opened up, guys. I apologize. I really have a lot. I took my phone in for repair today. And so I was like signing out of everything. And I just like spent all day trying to sign in and out of these different things. And it's just been ridiculous. But, okay, let me get this back here, guys. Well, I guess that's really it anyway. Under 40 cents would be a good entry. Oh, you're talking about XLM. Okay, yeah, and Steve is talking about XRP. So this is what the kind of the difference is. And, you know, right now, let's just see where it's at. It's at 41 cents. 41 cents. So, you know, let's just say you do $65. Let's say you set your sell order for 65 minus 41. Oops, hold on. That's 24 cents divided by your original buy-in is 41. That's a 58% profit. 58% profit. That's if you cashed out at 65 cents. 58% profit. Now, here's the crazy part. Remember, and this is what people need to understand. It is, right? But this is what people need to understand. Just because XLM is going to 80 cents, every single person that we've talked to has basically said, do not try to get in at 80 cents. The woman sent me her husband's dream via email and said that once it gets to 45 cents, it's really going to ramp up. Remember that. And she said that they saw it hit 82 cents in his dream. However, his buy orders or sell orders did not go through, and they were frantic. And the reason is because they had them set too high at 79 cents. Remember, Ryan had the caution of 67 cents. I saw a number in that range in my dream last night. I shared it on my last video. It's the only time God has shown me a number specific to XLM. And but here's the kicker. If XRP went to $5, does anybody really even know? Has God given any price points as to a buy I'm sorry, a good sell order price point? No. Just because it goes to 504 doesn't mean you'll be able to sell it at 498. You know what I mean? Because what if it tips it just like that 80 cent on XLM? All right. So you're tracking with me, right? So here's my emphasis. I don't have any clarity on any sort of, now I can pray for sure, and I have no problem doing that. But I don't have any clarity at this time on XRP, but on a good sell number. But right now it's 305. And let's just say like 80 cents divided by 60, or sorry, minus 65. That's 15 a cent margin, which would be 18.75% of a difference of where you can actually buy, or I'm sorry, sell to get out and close out your trades and get your profits. 18.75% difference from where it'll actually peak to where you can actually get out. So if we did the math on XRP that way, for example, then 18.75 times 504 is a 94.5 cent difference. So 504, what did I say it was? 90. What did I say? 90. I got to rewind the video. Whatever, 98.5. Is that right? We'll just try that. Why is this math not mathing? Okay. 0.985. Okay. So you would have to get out at a $4.05 range. Exactly. $4.05 range. And so my point is 405 minus, where's it at right now? 305 is $1 divided by 305. That's only a 32% gain. 32% gain. And remember what we said XLM was at the exit right now? The math is totally mathing. I'm not sure where you're at, bro. Yeah, you might not be following along, but my math is totally mathing. So it's a 32% gain on XRP versus, what was the XLM? 58%. And that is going to be, okay. Sorry. Fair enough. So 32% versus 58%. And now here's the kicker, guys. Do you remember last month I told you guys that I had a conversation with Ryan? And I said, Ryan, do you think that this is the XLM pump that was supposed to happen before the XRP pump? He says, I'm beginning to ask the same question myself. And I think it is, guys, because it would be consistent with everything that God's already shown me. And so my point is, and listen, I had a guy comment on the last video and he was like, and I was thinking to myself, I was going to block him because he just doesn't need to keep watching, but I forgot. And he said that, none of these prophets have been right. And I'm like, I've addressed that mindset so many times over the months that we've been tracking this journey. They actually are. It's just the interpretation. So many times. Listen, the Pharisees were professionals of the prophetic words. They were professionals of the prophetic words of Jesus, but yet they missed the Messiah standing right in front of them. And this is what people don't understand about the prophetic. There is more like mystery in the prophetic. People think that the prophetic is so clear, But if you guys go back and read some of the prophecies, even about Jesus, you know, if somebody wasn't pointing it out for you, you would be like, oh man, I don't know if I would have seen all that, because that's pretty vague. It's really vague. God hid himself in what's the word? Obscurity? Is that right? Let's ask. Define obscurity. I think so. Yeah. He hid himself in obscurity. And so the emphasis is this. If the Bible teaches us anything about the prophetic, it can be. There are some that's very, very clear, you know, but there's others that are very, very vague, and you really kind of needed to dig a little to even see what was right in front of you. And so that's the mystery of, you know, even navigating the supernatural, is that it's not as, you know, easy sometimes. However, watch this. If you're seeking the Lord, it will all work out according to his plan. It does. That's exactly right. Jesus spoke in parables. It gets people to think. Your job is to open the mysteries. It's right. It requires digging. And I've said this 1,000 times. The Bible says it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. Sorry, I was just doing yard work. It's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but it's the glory of kings to search out a matter. So many people stop themselves dead in their tracks because they're not operating as a king that investigates and digs and says, how can, like, what does this mean? Instead of saying, throw it out, I don't get it, so it doesn't make sense, so therefore I am the judge supreme, Lord of all. I mean, that's unfortunately how some people act. I know that was a bit dramatic, but my point is that's what we do when we behave like that. And we can't do that because we're literally saying, if it doesn't fit my understanding, then it must not be God, and it must not be. I've had people comment and they're like, I'm confused. God is not the author of confusion. And I'm like, you're right. He's not the author of confusion. So get unconfused because it may not be me that's doing it. And it may not be the prophetic that's doing it. It may be you. And see, this is what some people don't understand. I've been able to make sense of this stuff. Sometimes it's not been as clear, but I don't throw it out and be like, oh, it's false. No, I ask the Lord, how does this make sense? Because you said it. And then that is how you follow God, guys. I know that's like a news flash for people, but it's really how it works. Too many people, they allow themselves, and they don't realize how much they're playing Lord. Listen, people don't like hearing this stuff. I'll be honest. People tune out just because this stuff is being said. And it's crazy because it's the very stuff that they need to hear. It's the very stuff that they need to hear. And I really hope it reaches somebody out there who's listening. Like Redman. That's right. The interpretation is the key. And listen, this is why I wanted to kind of celebrate right now. And that's exactly right. I have to pull this up. Kalila says, for those who want it for the wrong reasons from those who have pure desires. So he's separating. Come on, listen. Some people don't realize when they are ridiculing, they're actually being separated. And that's a scary thought. It's a quickening. It should shake you and just stop you dead in your tracks and be like, oh, But many people don't have the fear of God, so it doesn't. And they're just like, not me. No, couldn't be, right? And it's like, get the fear of God, right? Like, come back to the place where you actually believe God is not somebody that you control. It's very scary. And, some people have a wrong theology about God. They think he's some sort of genie in a bottle. And if he don't make sense for them, then they're not going to, if they have to dig, no, they'll go down to the next ear tickling YouTube voice. And, anyhow. So, man, oh man. All right. So what I was going to say was I'm really, really excited. But first of all, I got to give props because remember the mystery 504 that I had in my banner section here? And I said, I don't know if where this came from. I'm like, it's pretty vague. I remember this one. I remember this one. I remember this one. But this one, and I was like, I don't know. And then one of you all went a searching and emailed me and said, I found it. And I'm like, glory to God. And so I played it for you where I had the dream where it reached 504. Now, remember, this was before the crash. So like I said, now this is where it gets exciting. And some people, here's another thing that some people may not understand. I think it was Robin Cunningham. And that's another thing. I had people comment and they're like, oh, the moment you mentioned Robin Cunningham, I'm out. And I'm like, okay, it's probably best because with that attitude, I'd kick you off my channel before long anyway. And so, like, for real. But anyhow, I remember, I think it was Robin, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to, I like to be honorable to whoever, it is. And so I would like to get it right. But if I'm wrong, forgive me. But I believe it was Robin who said that the Lord spoke to him and said, in this last stretch, that it's going to be through unity. It's going to be through unity. It might have been David Williams. I can't remember. It's one of those people that I don't watch a lot of. That's why it's a bit vague. And in that case, it probably could have even been Ryan because I don't watch a lot of Ryan either, even though we have more conversations on the phone than we have that I watch his content. It's just the way that it is. I really don't have time, guys. And I'm not trying to be dishonoring or disrespectful or even a holier than thou even. It's just the fact that I don't have the time to follow a lot of the stuff that you guys follow. And I get a lot of my information from you guys, thankfully, that you share with me about things that they said. But if I'm not mistaken, it was Robin Cunningham who said in this last stretch, God's going to do it through unity. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's what has caused this all to come together. It was this woman who emailed me and told me her husband's dream. And I'll be honest with you, all the dreams that I had about the XRP going up before I had dreams about the crash, they had not been fulfilled yet. And so it gives me a reassurance that I can assume it will only go up and that all these people that are saying this are right. But then when you begin to hear these other things in the same day that you need to hear them, like these people from Money on the Moves community that were saying they believed it was going to hit the mid to high 30s and as a floor. And I know somebody tried to correct me. They're like, that's not the floor. 11 cents is the floor. I'm like, wrong floor, dude. Like I'm talking about the bounce that, and it's interesting because one of, the guru's course that I was promoting, one of his business partner had posted, is this the bounce? because bounces are very trajectory fulfilling. Like when you hit that really strong support, it can send coins a popping. And I think that might be where we're at, guys. So all of these things to say, I just really, really have a piece about where we're at right now, guys. And, you know, my peace got taken from me when I bought in. Remember this. My peace got taken from me when I bought in XLM up at, what was it? 47 cents. And I'm thankful because there was a dip coming. And so remember, I said I got out. I was like, I don't know about this. And so, well, this time I'm in it to win it. And you know, I'm just trusting the Lord that if there's any sort of redirection that needs to happen, he's going to speak and make it clear. But for this time, I believe that it's coming through unity. It was that email combined with what Ryan's been saying, combined with what David had in the prophetic word where God showed him it would go to 80 cents. This guy's dream, her husband's dream, said he saw it go to 82 cents, but that the buy orders would not be filled. And remember, her buy orders were at 79 cents. So she obviously wasn't listening to Ryan. So my point of that is, and this is why I think it's important for you to hear this, and it's not to dog her or whatever, her husband. What I'm saying is it confirms that they were both seeing the same thing, that there was a caution at the higher range, and God was saying no to both of them. It wasn't information that they just got from Ryan, because if that was the case, they would have not set their sell orders so high. Does this make sense? And so, anyhow, all right. Well, I think I've said my piece today. XLM looks like it's about to break out. Let me just go to the chart real quick. I'm drawing these trend lines behind your back. And oh, that's XRP. Sorry, hang on. Where's XLM? And so this is what's interesting right now, guys. And don't forget, when she said that her husband, in her husband's dream, it really began to pick up momentum when it reached 45 cents. So I'm pretty excited for that 45-cent thing to happen, right? And so let me see this real quick. And there's been so many people that have basically been talking about XLM taking off before XRP. And I've just been like, Lord, if there's something to this, you know, let me see it. And so last night I had the dream. First time I've had an XLM dream. And so here's the trend line. And like I said, you know, like I'm not really sure where to put this bottom here. I think that's probably accurate right there, because but my point is on this is on the 1 hour chart, and you've got all of this going on up here where it's been consolidating above that broken out trend line. And on the 4 hour chart, This is what it was doing earlier. It was taking forever to load. Okay. On the 4-hour chart, it's also broken out. And then on the day chart, it's discombobulated. No, hold on. On the day chart, it's still broken out. And that's a really sweet story, guys, because they say that the longer the time period on the chart that this formation is occurring, and so this is basically a bull flag, right? You've got the pump and then the flag and this descending wedge, which is a bullish pattern. And it's been broken out here. This is the second day. And so basically the longer that it stays above this trend line, the more bullish that is. And these are all, amateur TA guys. I am not a pro trader, and I'm not a financial advisor. This is all like amateur technical analysis, guys. Bottom line, I'm not even showing you any other indicators or anything of that nature. But I am showing you that we have a really solid formation above this trend line, showing a potential breakout to the upside. So, and so XLM goes first, then XRP runs afterwards by attention and people buying. So there's going to be news that comes out about XRP, I believe, that's going to set it off. No, I'm not back in XRP. No, I actually bought into XLM. That's what I've been saying. I bought into XLM, and it's because all of these people's, like, there are so many people, guys. And what I liked about this woman who emailed me, I'm just going to be honest with you. She sent me the dream and she says, I'm submitting it to you for accountability. I'm like, okay, like she's honorable as well. And she's accountable as well. She's not one of those where, I get these emails sometimes where people are like, you need to hear this. And they're like, now I'm going to bring clarity to you. And I'm just like, all right, and sometimes I read it and it's like very confusing and it's not clear at all. So Harv says, what's your sell point for XLM? So I had a dream last night that I believe the Lord showed me was my sell point. And I said on my last video, I'm not going to share what that is because it needs to be different for everybody. Everybody needs to Ben's Build says, watch August 6th, possibly for 56 cents for XLM. Over around 3 months ago, God gave me 56 cents. Oh, okay. It's Kimberly. So Redman says 65. What's his name? Ryan gave a caution at 67 cents. And what I saw in my dream was probably more my risk appetite anyway. And so I'll just share it like that. But it was in that range. And so I'm following what the Lord showed me specifically. And the lady that emailed me, they felt comfortable at 71 cents, which is still higher than Ryan's caution at 67. So Michael says, the Lord told me to sell at 65. Redman says 65 cents, y'all. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really going to be, guys, I'm going to throw something out here. I shared this on Sunday at our church, and I believe that this is what God may be doing. Now I don't know if anybody's talked about this. I don't know if anybody's talked about this, but I believe this is what God may be doing. Do you know the scripture about the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous? And then many people call this the end time wealth transfer. Well, what I believe is occurring, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and you really need to pray about this. I mean, pray that God prevails in this. Like even Brandon said, when you see it go to this price, it's time to pray and all these different things. But watch this. I believe that they're planning the crash. And I believe that the globalists are planning to buy it up at the low levels, but they are not expecting the people that are following the prophecies where God is saying, I'm going to have my people scoop this up and get the liquidity before they do. And you remember my price point? I want you to hear this. Do you remember my price point from my dream about XRP, where it was a little higher than where it could be? I don't know how that all works in the stages of liquidity, but I want to ask you a question. What if God wants it to be higher because that's the liquidity that we need to buy before they get it and fulfill their plan? I'm just throwing this out there, guys. Jim says 100. And so I need you to prayerfully consider what I felt like, God might be doing here. And maybe, just maybe, there's a reason why God is telling you you're not going to be able to get it at certain prices. You're not going to be able to get XLM at 80 cents. You're not going to be able to get XRP at 62 cents because there is globalists that are ready to buy it at those prices because they're the ones crashing it to those prices. I'm telling you, right? See, that's the one. So you're interpreting. We've brought this video up like 1,000 times on this channel, and everybody has different interpretations about, which came first, the chicken or the egg. And some people think that the 45 cent already fulfilled because they think it was supposed to be before the case closed, all that stuff. But I think it's quite possible because remember, not money on the move. Love Has a Name, Brian, he shared that he did see it go to 45 cents. And that was like, I was like, whoa, No, I can't, unfortunately. People ask me that all the time, and I'm just like, listen, there's certain things, that I just prefer to keep private, and so I just, prefer to keep things that way. Brandon wants, yeah, that's the same thing. Okay. Jim says he agrees with that. Yeah. I mean, guys, and this is kind of what I was talking about, like, me personally, I would never try to buy at that low, because it is supposed to go that low. In fact, I've already said that, if you saw how fast it came back up from where I saw it touch, I saw 62 cents was the lowest in my drop and in my dream, but it was in my dream. Remember, it was passing through 90 cents and it hits. And I saw this on the dashboard of the car. It says XRP is passing through 90 cents. And I knew it was crashing. The passenger in the car says, XRP is crashing. I said, yes, I know. And I opened up my phone and I said, where's it at? And by the time I opened up my phone, it was already coming back up to the 70 and 80 cent range. just as that fast. And I looked to see where it had gone, and it was 62 cents. And if you remember, I've talked about this. That would be a very strong support level, because remember, before it took off in November, that price point, I think the highest it got was like 61 cents, 62 cents. I bought it at 59 cents because it stayed at that range for so long, So 62, remember, resistance is always support, and support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. And so that was such a huge resistance, which means it would be a strong support level. So I don't know if it'll go below that. I don't know if we'll see 45 cents. Brian even said in his video, he says, I don't know if this is, figurative, like if this is, or if it's actually going to happen. And so he kind of threw that disclaimer on there. And it could, I don't know, whatever God says, right? But my point is that there was a guy that sent me a dream about XRP in an email, and he said, very consistent with what I dreamed. He said, I saw XRP go below $1, and I was scrambling to get in. And he says, and by the time I got in, I wasn't able to buy it except above $1. That's what he said. And I'm like, man, that's exactly what, God has been showing a lot of people. And so we really don't know if there will be buy orders that will go through at their certain price points. So just be careful and be prayerful about what God is showing you on where to buy XRP, because if you get too greedy, that's why I would even with the prophetic, sometimes I would like to play it much more conservative. And that's why when God gives me conservative numbers, I sign up for that, because the number that he gave me for XLM to sell was lower than the warning, and even lower than, what I could have come up with as a buffer, but it was still a strong. And I'm like, I don't need to get greedy. I'd rather win than not, And so, yeah, throwing this out there, guys. Good question. We don't really know how much time we will have to set XRP after XLM crash, right? Not really, but they're going to crash, I believe, at the same time. Everything's going to crash at the same time. In fact, Amanda Grace released a prophetic word about Pentagon getting hacked, and that it would be at such a level where there would be a lockdown, and there would be the largest crypto heist. She sounded like it was together, but that it would be the big C country, and that it would be the largest crypto heist ever before. And, those things have caused the price of crypto to plummet, guys. I'm just telling you. And so, to varying degrees, you can look it up online, crypto hacks and different things. We did have one of the largest hacks, though, earlier this year, and on one of the major exchanges, and it didn't seem to phase the markets. So, it doesn't necessarily behave, I guess, like it used to, because there's more confidence in crypto, even with the hacks, I guess. But this one was, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't even know what that looks like. Does the Pentagon have crypto? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's true. It's extremely important. We have to never forget the fundamental basics of spiritual nuggets and righteous, guarding your heart above all things, because out of it flows the issues of life. And guys, people who think that they have to squeeze a nickel out of God, they don't know what he's got coming for them. You're not going to need to squeeze a nickel. This is going to be one of the biggest, most powerful financial moves that generations have ever seen. And I'm just telling you. And so don't look at this like XRP is always going to be in the $3 to $5 range. It's not. And you have to think on God's level, not on your scarcity mindset or poverty mindset that has to squeeze every nickel out of God. If you are not careful, that will end up costing you. And so, anyhow, God has been very good to us, guys. He's been very good to us. So demonstrate to him that you're going to operate with the right heart. And listen, some people, I'm just going to tell you the truth. Some people will tell you right now, they will tell you in the comment section. I refuse to use them, Hope. It's personal, but I refuse to use them. But here's the deal. Some people will tell you, watch this. Some people will tell you that they're believing by faith to get XRP at a penny. I'm not kidding you. Some people, and that's, if you understand how stupid that really sounds, then I want you to also translate that into other amounts too. Because it's ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Please don't be so zealous to get all of your bags that you just lose all sense of following God's voice, and don't try to coerce him into making, come on, you're never going to get XRP at a penny. But some people will literally tell you, oh, I'm believing big and I'm going to set my buy order for a nickel. And if you try to say anything about it, they're like, oh, well, come on. Doesn't he own the cattle on it? He'll just quote all the scriptures. And it's like, doesn't he own all the cattle on it? He can do it. What he can do is what he tells you is going to happen, and you follow what he says is going to happen. You don't try to create what's going to happen. And that's not prophecy. Prophecy is not being foolish. Isn't it though? I've had people make these comments though, guys, and I'm just like, don't do that. Don't be doing that. Guys, I'm just telling you the truth. I've seen them in the comment section, and they're like, I'm going to get XRP at 15 cents. I believe. And I'm like, oh, and you know what I think when I see those things? They're going to be the ones that Brendan Biggs prophesied were going to get shooken out, because they don't even know how to do this stuff. You listen to what God says. And some people, I'm not trying to be critical here, guys, but I just wrote a book on this. Some people don't know the voice of God strong enough to really make those decisions for themselves. And they've not tested the voice of God for themselves. But all of a sudden they're going to make entire, futuristic financial, betting the house, the kids, the dog, the family, on getting XRP at 15 cents. And I'm just like, y'all, be careful where you never heard God before, until all of a sudden it's convenient to hear him about XRP. You might just be hearing your own soul, and I ain't lying. I'm telling you. Oh, man. Oh, man. So good for you. Good for you. And he's talking about XLM, by the way, guys. That's basically the bottom line. Yeah. So both of them are going to peak, right? This is why I'm bringing up my XRP dreams, because the highest I saw is 504. We did the math. And if you take the, the percentage of the, where you will actually be able to sell versus where it'll actually peak, it was like an 18% difference on XLM. So if you take that same percentage and put it on XRP, and you factor in where you're going to be able to get your sell orders filled, you'll probably be able to get about 32% profit on XRP from here. And it was like 58% profit on XLM from here. And so, I do not understand it. I mean, Shawana says he's funny, but I don't get it. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody help. You know those people, they're like, you need me to draw out a map for you? I think I need you to draw out a map for me on this one, because I don't get it. No, because listen, you're going to sell whatever you're in. If you're doing what we're doing, you're going to have your sell orders set before it crashes. So you'll be out when your sell orders get filled. Then it will crash shortly thereafter, because they said they saw it go to 80 cents and then it crashed. This woman in her husband's dream saw it go to 82 cents and then it crashed. So very consistent, right? And so we're talking about selling. Ryan Cunningham had a warning at 67 cents. So let's say you sell at, Redman says 65 cents. Michael says, the Lord told me to sell at 65 cents. So there's several people on here that say 65 cents. That's a great example, because if Ryan says there's a caution at 67 and you're setting it at 65, then you would have a better chance. I'm not going to tell you you're guaranteed, because I'm not going to make that, but you're going to have a better chance of being able to get out of that before it spikes and then crashes, and you'll be out before then. So, you don't have to, like, I hope you're getting that, right? Chris, makes sense? And so then, you're gonna, when you get your notifications that your sell orders go through, hopefully you have your notifications turned on. When you get your notifications that your sell orders go through, you go ahead and you buy up your XRP. And here's the thing, guys. Even if you don't have buy orders for XRP in time, let me just throw it out there. God told me that it's going to come back up to 250 when it drops. He told me it's going to come back up to 250. That was clear as day. Clear as day. So it's still going to be cheaper than where it's at right now. Okay. And it's still going to be cheaper than when it gets to $5. And so you're going to be good, even if you're slow, snail pace getting in. He showed me it's going to come back up to 250. That's what he showed me after the crash. Now, some people are like, oh, it's going to go way higher than 250. I'm not listening to you. Listen, there's going to be stages in this process. Just like it's going to have to go up before it comes down, then it's going to have to come up a little bit before it goes up a little more. But he's showing me in that, yes, exactly. Exactly. And you know what's crazy about this is, I was thinking about this while I was mowing my yard earlier. And I was talking about my mind was talking. I was thinking about how you can always see the prophetic in the charts sometimes. You won't see black swan events. You won't see, but like, I loved how the channel Money on the Move and some of his followers, they said they felt like it would bottom out XLM at the 30, the mid 30 to high 30 cent range. Well, if you look at the chart, remember, like, that's actually a trader's, look at where it bottomed out, 36 cents. So if you were following the trend lines, then you would basically suppose that it would basically have been in that range. So, that's kind of the thing, is that that's probably where that information came from in his community, is people that were following the charts. And so, see, this is good. Redman says, I trade for a living. One thing I learned over the years, being greedy, you will get burned and lose your opportunity. Boom. Boom. So Jessica, I have no idea what you're talking about. We're actually talking about selling our XRP. Like, you ever seen people come into the tail end of a conversation and they just start talking and you realize they have no idea what's going on? Okay. Jessica, we bless you, but we is selling our XRP, okay? Because we know what God is saying. Amen. The last support was on 36 cents. Yep. Good stuff. That's what I was just having on the charts for sure. Awesome. Yeah. And and that's the thing, is like, it's interesting because when I bought into XLM just yesterday, what's crazy is I didn't even know that we were in the middle of a bull flag right now. And so when I went and looked at the charts after I bought in, I'm like, well, of course it's in the middle of a freaking bull flag right now. I mean, for real. So he says, I'd like to share with you the charts, which lines up with your vision. The Lord gave me 507 as a top. Very, very good. Very, very good. Come on now. So the 504, you know what I mean? Like, that's solid. Reese says, why should we sell, please? I just joined the live, joining in from Nigeria, Africa. Well, because we're talking about the prophetic word that God has been giving me, that I've been sharing on this channel since April and May. It was the last day of April, the first day of May. And I had a series of dreams. And I had more of dreams about this than I've had about any leg of this journey. And God has proven himself to be sharing with me very accurate information. And we know that there are still some upward numbers that have yet to be fulfilled. Like, and I'll share them with you. I saw 356. We hit that. That was the first one. Then I saw 397 I had in mid-February. Late February, early March, I saw 394. And then I saw 504 5 months ago. That would have been March. So, so these are the numbers that God showed me. I don't know why it was progressive. Maybe this is the way we will see it. Because remember, 356 just happened. 356 just happened. We've already been through that. And that would have beaten its all-time high. So, and we did that. So we believe we're going to see these numbers next. But this will potentially be the top before the crash, because the next sequence of dreams God showed me was the crash. And so, however, we are pivoting to XLM right now because there are so many prophetic voices that have been talking about XLM will run first, and you will take those profits from XLM and you will be able to use them in XRP when it takes off. And all of the prophetic words that I have received to date they all align. One of them, or two of them, was that it would be the fourth quarter of this year that crypto would begin to skyrocket. And so we have some time for the crash to occur. Not much time, but basically 2 months before the fourth quarter hits. And so thoughts on the 11-cent XLM prophecy? Yes. Yes, that's what we've been talking about for the past 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 29, 30, 31, 32 seconds. Okay. And on the last video, Okay. And of course, God gave me a dream last night of showing me where XLM is going to go. So I trust finally. Now, I was already in because I was trusting in what he was showing me through others. But last night I had a dream where after I got in, why then? But I'm thankful because he showed me a price point of where it was going to hit. So that being said, yeah, we're in Sarasota, man. Very good. Come on down. And then you can tell me why red man turns into blue man. Good stuff. Guys, I'm going to jump off and wrap it up with my family. Have a great evening. God bless. Take care.